next part, Shantanu. So, as you also are an instructor in, like individual instructor on the field of data science, and
Yep,
you might also have done many online courses. So, is
true.
there some procedure that you follow to select a particular course? Let's say you want to learn a particular, let's say you want to learn about basics visualization stuff. Okay, so
Hmm.
how do you go for that? Like, what is your approach that you follow to select a particular course?
So I think selection of a particular course has primarily been for me around all of the topics that are covered in that course. And how, so two things: how many topics do you cover, and what do you cover around the topics, and how's it structured basically. So for
Okay.
example, if I'm going to study, say, sentiment analysis, or if I'm going to study visualization, do you tell me about how text is formed, how text is structured and cleaned, or do you directly jump into building either neural networks or mathematical lexicon based models of sentiment analysis? So, which
Okay.
part of this are you doing? Are you making me jump directly to a 90, or are you
Okay.
taking me from 0 to 100 slowly? So, this
Okay.
is one. And how structured are you in your course would mean, are you sequentially teaching me all of these, or do you first teach me how to build a sentiment analysis model and then you teach me all of the stuff? Or do you first teach me how to clean and then teach me how to build? Second, do you also teach me what I can do with the knowledge that I've gathered? So some courses I've personally seen have, at the end of the module, they teach you where all of these things can be used and how they can be used. So you're not
Okay.
just learning sentiment analysis, you're also learning where to apply them, what use cases they fit, and all of that. So it's the
Okay.
surrounding knowledge around
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. So, do you have any favorite online courses? Like, if you want to just like, if for a beginner, do you have any favorite courses that you want to suggest?
that. So I think the CS50 is a great course that I've heard of, and
It's amazing.
was yeah, and CS50 has been extremely powerful. And apart from that, there's a machine learning course by Stanford online. And
Yeah.
I mean, minus these two, my primary go-to has always been Udacity. So I think I'm a
Okay.
little biased there, but I love the way they teach. I love the way they structure their content. And it's world-class content. So I think it's been more brand association for me rather than content association.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay. So now, Shantanu, like as you're working, you have been working as an individual instructor in the field of data science and artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
Do you have any courses coming up, like, or do you had any courses which is beginner friendly, so that we can suggest to our viewers that they can go and watch that thing?
Definitely. So, in fact, I do have a course on machine learning and analytics coming up, coupled with intern theory, and there's
Okay.
something on the data science micro projects that I have a course on desire.com as well. So these
Okay.
two courses, one of the desire ones is already made. The other one is
Okay.
being made. So once they do come up, definitely I can look into how we can share these within the community as well.
Sure, sure. Okay. So just like just after the interview, you can share the Desire link, that
Hmm.
course link, so I can just
Yeah.
put this in the description of that. Okay.
Great, great. I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So, Shantanu, now coming to the next part. So as you have been in the field like since 2 3 years, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So in these 2 3 years, like you have learned a lot. So like what I feel that data science and machine learning is not very trivial. Like it's not easy to understand. Like you need to put efforts into that to learn or to understand things, right?
True.
So as compared to the software engineering part, like learning
Hmm.
data structure for me, I feel it's very much intuitive because I had been coding since 10th or 12th, so that makes sense
Yeah.
more than machine learning stuff. So like
Hmm.
what approach do you follow to
Hmm.
like get better at complex things? So do
Hmm.
you have any specific approach? Like let's say you want to learn making auto image captioning, okay, or let's say sentiment analysis. So
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
you first have a use case very clear, like okay, I want to build a sentiment analysis, then you go and
Hmm.
find out, okay, what are the technologies that are involved in building sentiment analysis, then you go and
Hmm.
learn that. Is this is the approach better or the other way? Like first you learn what are the technologies that are needed. Like you should be familiar with GenSim, you should be familiar with tokenization, you should be familiar with NLTK. Then you move towards the sentiment analysis part. Like okay, now I know all these things. Now I'll build a sentiment analysis. So what
Hmm.
way you feel is better to start?
So I think this is a broader conversation on how, education or topic understanding could be structured. I personally think that everybody, at least in the Indian space of things, has had this problem that when I graduate from 10th and I come into 11th or 12th, suddenly I'm bombarded with so much calculus that I don't understand what's happening. There's a huge gap between the learnings I get from 10th grade, for example, when I go into 11th and 12th. So everybody has a lot of stress learning what they're learning. And one of the key problems of that has been that it's not mapped to a goal. It's not mapped to
Okay.
what am I going to do with this knowledge and how do I apply this better, which means I always would break down complex topics with a goal attached to it. For
Okay.
example, as you said, I would always start with a use case. I would build reverse on it. So I want to build a sentiment analysis
Okay.
model, for example. I'm a
Okay.
personal fan of how lexicon-based sentiment analysis works, and I think
Okay.
there's a
Great.
lot that can be done in that space. So, for example,
Sure.
I start with sentiment analysis. I understand what sentiment means in that text. How can sentiment be mapped to each word differently? And then I drill down to the second part, where how do these words, how does a computer understand these words better? Third would be how can I clean junk words? How can I use better words? So, I will drill down on all of the topics involved in
Yeah.
a particular use case. That will help me
Okay.
understand better only because I have an end goal attached to it, which means, say, for example, if I have to say that I need to go and buy chips today and I have 20 rupees, I first have an end goal attached and then I'm surveying what I can buy with those 20 rupees. On the other hand, if you just give me 20 rupees and say go out and buy something, my intake of information gets so much higher. I'm thinking I can buy this also, I can buy this also, this also. If I start with an end goal, it helps me restrict all of the information I'm taking in, and on a large scale avoids information overload. I'm very selectively learning the things I can learn, I should learn. I build that use case and then I go to similar use cases, and that's how I've structured my learning personally.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect answer. So just one question that I have in this. Okay. So
Hmm.
I know this is a very subjective question. It does not apply to everyone. But let's say if I'm a beginner, okay, I'm starting into
Hmm.
this field. I don't
Yeah.
know about the use cases which I should be learning. Okay. Let's just
Hmm.
say I'm just new into this field. I don't know anything about any, but I just know I want to get started into the field of data science.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
not very much clear about what are the use cases that should I be working upon or something. So, do you have like any specific advice on for them? Like, okay, you should like if you are interested into the field of NLP, then you should be
Hmm.
starting with this and this use case, or if like you are interested in the field of computer vision, you should be starting in with this something like that.
So
I
yeah.
know that this is a very subjective question, so if you can just add
Yeah, no,
something.
I think this is a great question because this is some problem that everybody is facing. Like, how do I start in NLP, for example? What do I build?
Yeah.
So I think on those lines, I've seen how your thoughts as a data scientist should also be focused a little bit on the what particular businesses are doing, how they're solving certain problems, which will
Okay.
help you gain great insight on what you should start with. For example, if I have a favorite company, or if I have, say, Amazon that came to my doorstep in the morning, I will understand what kind of text data does Amazon collect. And
Okay.
I know that they have addresses, they have a lot of user comments and their reviews, and they have so much text. Now I go onto their website and I see what do they do with those user comments, how do they structure them, how do they order them, what can they do with them. So when I
Okay.
see current use cases in the market of,
Yeah.
say, natural language processing, I see Google is doing search brilliantly, and
Yeah.
a lot of other things around NLP. I have great use cases everywhere I can see in the world in terms of businesses that are deploying them live. And
Mhm.
from there, I can pick up on this is something a lot of businesses are doing in common. So let me start with this use case. So
Okay.
use case
Okay.
formulation should be basically on how the market or the current scheme of things of businesses outside are solving, which means if
Yeah.
you see, for example, if you're doing image recognition, you see an iPhone X and you do that and it unlocks. So you understand that facial recognition in image or computer vision is important. Then
Yeah.
you have a use case that you already know a great company is using. So then you
Okay.
start building on that use case. So it's more business centric. It shouldn't be more, if you're trying to enter the field from a job point of view and not an
Yeah.
academic point of view, you should structure
Okay.
it also from a perspective of what businesses are already doing and what they could be doing more.
Yeah, what could they do better, right? That makes sense. So
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, so if I can summarize, I think this is a very insightful answer. So I just want to summarize this thing. So
Hmm.
first, you should be very much clear that which field that you want to go into. Is it NLP, like that excites you more, or is it
Yeah.
computer that excites you more? You should be very much clear with that. So once you are clear
Hmm.
with that, then go with a business description. What company wants you to know. For that particular thing, I have started this hands-on series. So the
Hmm.
hands-on series in which I'm putting up the lectures are or putting up the video tutorials are. I'll be opening one data scientist, let's say data scientist NLP profile. So what are the job description? What are the skill sets required? So based on
Hmm.
that, let's say the current one on which I'm working. So in that
Yeah.
it was mentioned that they need you to have an experience in the field of NLP where they want you to
Hmm.
have an experience on question answering.
Yeah.
So I had started like the hands-on series is based on question answering now. So I started like the various components of question answering. I'm trying to take on in every week, and then at total, I just want to collect them and make one like question answering thing as a final product. So yeah, that makes much sense. I'm also trying to do that similar ways to help them help those people.
Oh, that's great. That's a great thing, actually. Yeah.
Okay, your voice is little.
Yeah. Can you hear better?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are